Shalom, family, and thank you so much for joining us for our Yom Rishon discussion. And I pray that it is a blessed one for you. Come one, come all. I see a few of you already in the chat. Let's get that popped up. Thank you so much. I pray you all can hear me okay. I hope so. Give everyone a chance to say hello to one another. We got everybody in. Look at how many people we've already got in the chat. My goodness. Hey, we got family from New Zealand in here. You got to love that. We've got a few people in New Zealand. I pray for you over there because I got to tell you, that is one dangerous place. They seem to have gone over the deep end on a few things. So thank you all for joining us. It is a pleasure. We're going to be having a good discussion. And tonight, joining me, we have a special guest tonight, someone that I truly enjoy spending time with and having a chance to pick his brain and enjoy his company. And so keep our brother Yashar'el Toma in prayer because he had, challenges with his critters. And boy, if there's something that man his heart is always open to those critters, to his little guys, his fur babies. Anything happens to them, it's just not good. So keep him in prayer. He's got one that's got some battles. And so we want to pray a blessing over our brother and his puppies that are hopefully that one will recover. And so joining us tonight is my brother Alan Pisarek. Alan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to be getting into a topic that is, well, one of our favorite topics, actually, something we talk about quite a bit. And while we're discussing, I want to put something on the screen, guys, because this is the kind of stuff I look at. Here, I'm going to put this in a slideshow mode. There we go. Hang on. All right, good. Now I'm going to pop it on the screen. And these are, these. If you go over to what's the name of that channel? It's called My Lunch Break. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it.
Yeah.
But he does a lot of discussion about ancient ruins, about old buildings. Here you're seeing melted buildings. So the ancient world, having been through cataclysmic destruction, and the evidence is everywhere. So those of you who thought it was just like Petra, you know how we see these things in Petra, right? You see these things built into the rocks. And you think, oh, that's just unique to that. No, this is just check me. I got files for different countries. I have France. I've got a whole file of Turkey. I got a whole file of Italy. Just different structures that were melted, and you see these structures themselves are they look like mountains. Some of them are overgrown. And we already know that they've uncovered some that were pyramids in South America, right? What's that, Pimo Puku or something like that? I always forget the names of these.
I couldn't say it if I had to.
Pima Puku and all these different, right? But they have all these, sites that they're uncovering. And of course, they always have to dig them out from underneath all of the debris, right? They've always got to pull out all the overgrowth because it just looked like a regular mountain. Machu Picchu, there it is. Yep. That's the one. Thank you, Sarah. She dug one out for me. Good job, Sarah. We got some awesome people on the team, let me tell you. We've got some folks that I think of people like Rod Rains and Katrina Tehar, people that are constantly digging. And boy, am I ever blessed by your work, folks. I got to tell you, you guys are digging stuff out left and right. And it just keeps confirming. Mm-hmm. So all of it flowing in the right direction, all of it telling us, hey, you're on the right track, keep going. But at the same time, it is sort of devastating because you are also realizing how much we were lied to. I mean, that is reality, isn't it?
Yep.
We got hoodwinked. We were hoodwinked. What is going on? We were hoodwinked, brother. We got We got the fast speaking, fast moving followers of fallen angels. So we're going to talk about this tonight. Sit back, relax, everybody, enjoy yourself, grab yourself something warm or cold, respectively, to drink, and relax, because we're going to chat about a couple of things. And one of the things we're going to do, we're going to go back a little bit, because we're going to talk about this subject called time. And there's a reason why we're bringing this up, and we're going to talk about this, because obviously the world is quite confused about time. I mean, they think it's New Year's. Do I have to say any more? Alan, they think it's the new year.
Yep. The two-faced god Janus.
The two-faced god Janus, they think that's the new year. Mm-hmm. So I don't got to tell you just how confused people actually are. I mean, I know you guys know this, but there's a reason why this is a topic. A lot of people think, oh, it's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. Oh, well, I think you're going to figure out here in a minute that it really does matter. And these things are important. There's a reason why your enemy, here, let me put this on the screen. There's a reason why your enemy went to war with all of you. Okay. And if you go over to the Truther's Journal, you'll find articles that'll discuss the names of these months, what they all mean, why they are what they are, and why they wanted to put them in your mouth. Okay. Well, they won't tell you that. We'll tell you that. But they wanted to put these things in your mouth. Okay. And folks, this is ignorance is not bliss. Okay. So people who think that, ignorance is bliss. No, it is not. Okay. Ignorance is not bliss. Let me put this on the screen. Ignorance can kill you. According to Hosea chapter 4, verse 6, it says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. This is very important that you don't take these things lightly, because when you do, you become victims. We become victims of ignorance. Am I right, Alan?
That's right.
So knowing things and understanding where you are in time, what is actually happening versus what you want to imagine. The world is under strong delusion. Now, who brought the strong delusion? Anybody want to guess? Come on, we got a sharp group out there. Somebody type in, who sent the strong delusion? While I find a picture, I'm looking for something right now. I know you know, Alan. Don't tell them. Don't you dare tell them. You let them guess. That's right. My wife got it because she's smart. Yahuwah sends the strong delusion. People think it's the devil. It's not the devil. Yahuwah sends the strong delusion because they would not believe a lie, or because they would believe a lie and would not have, they have pleasure in unrighteousness. This is a hard word because he makes the light and he makes the darkness. Okay, so when you refuse and rebel, that is not good. That is very not good. So let's talk about time for a quick minute, because before we get into solutions, we got to talk about how we got here. So we got to kind of back up a little bit. There's parts that are fun to talk about. Alan and I love talking about the solution and the answers, right? But we got to understand the problem. Okay, we got to understand how we got here and what happened. Now, if you go back and you begin to study, and if there's one thing you all learn about hanging out with us, is we're historians. We don't take these things for granted. We go dig. And what we find, of course, very quickly in the biblical record is the fall of the fallen, right? So the fallen angels, they come down and they have an agenda, and their agenda is in competition with the Most High. Okay, so they're not. This is what they get condemned for. And I was reading up about this. I was pulling up. Let me see if I can get it in front of me. The Book of the Watchers. And in the Book of the Watchers, one of the things that it talks about, Alan, is they taught them how to do incantations. Incantations. Let me try to find it here. astrology, divination, root cuttings. So this was one of the things. Here it is. Okay, chapter 7. The angels took the oath to make women as wives. They teach humans. You can put this on the screen for you. This is just a commentary on the book of Enoch. So I'll just put it up on the screen so y'all can see what I'm looking at. And it's at readingacts.com. And in chapter 7, the angels make good on their oath and take women as wives. They teach humans, watch this now, magical medicines. So they're very, 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 very focused. This is from the very beginning. They always wanted to be messing with your bodies, okay? And putting things into your bodies and affecting your health. So this is where this comes from. So do not take this lightly, because this is not a light matter. And this is in competition. Remember that, with Elohim. The second thing there is incantations. Okay, incantations. So we see that this is one of the things that the fallen teach. Now, what is an incantation? Right? What is that? Let's see if we can put this definition on the screen. So you can see it. That was really easy to pull it up. You can pull it right up on Google. Okay, incantation. Look at this, guys. It says the use of words as a magic spell. Okay, the use of words as a magic spell. Now, if there's one thing that we have all been sort of reverse engineering, brother, has been all the lies and all the spin using clever wording and clever word replacement, like in the case of Chodesh, or in the case of his name, or in the case of Mashiach's name, and so forth. So these are things that came specifically from the Watchers, taught to the wives of the Watchers, and then spread throughout the pre-Diluvian world, the pre-flood world. So getting this picture is kind of important, isn't it? Because if you don't know where things come from, you can't decipher good from evil. You don't know how to sort it out. I mean, isn't that right, brother?
Right. They changed so much. They changed so much stuff so long ago. You're looking into the reasons for the flood, and you hear all of their men's thoughts were evil continually. Well,
right.
They had been just completely brainwashed at that point to believe in a lie, in many lies, word lies,
right.
Chemical lies, genetic manipulation of other living things, time. Of course, that was
right.
Those are obvious, but there's many of them. You put them all together, and you've got a pretty serious delusion that now, in our latter time, we're finally going, uh-oh. Wow.
Now remember, these were delivered as secrets. These were delivered as the promise of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. These are the secrets that you're going to learn. The secrets of creation. The root cuttings, how to make ayahuasca and DMT and go tripping or stuff like that. Like how to connect with the spirit world. Like they were going to give you all these things. Elohim's like, no, do not do this. Right. Okay, so they're breaking his commandments. They're disobeying him. And they're teaching this to men. One of the things they teach men, the phases of the moon. This is one of the things that they teach. Not what Elohim taught. This was one of the biggest things that he used to help me understand as I was coming out of some deceptions, just how pervasive this really was. Because they thought they were onto secrets. They thought they were power. They thought they were going to gain. And in some ways, they actually did. And we're going to get into that here in a minute. But the point is, that's where it came from. That's the thing that we have to take a moment to step back and go, whoa. When you go back and look at, this is pre-Israel, pre-Abraham, pre-flood even, and you look at their own writings, they admit and do not hide Sumerian culture, Sumerian writings, right? And take the floor anytime you want, brother. Sumerian things, they literally wrote about every form of, it's almost like they were working overtime to make their writings authoritative over anything Elohim would say. Is that, am I saying that about right?
Yeah, it's kind of like what we see today when, simply taking something simple as taking scripture out of school. All right, well, you remove just even that little bit of truth and then send them to that indoctrination all the time. They're going to learn there's, the opposite of what they should, or should I say, how to use something it wasn't intended for. For instance, the moon isn't inherently evil. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It has a purpose. But what
Mm-hmm.
they've taught us to use it for is the problem. That's almost witchcraft in itself. It is basically.
Mm-hmm. I have a video of the moon, videotape by a cosmonaut. It was immediately removed from the internet. They do not want you to see that video. I'll post it in our discussion board for our post discussion, or it'll take up this entire broadcast, and I don't want to do that. I don't open a whole nother kettle of fish. Okay. But what we should understand is, so the watchers, let's just stay at the 10,000 foot view without getting too deep here, guys. What the watchers are basically doing is they're coming down and they're teaching. They're taking the place that they were supposed to have to bless mankind and to teach them Zedakah, teach them righteousness, and instead they taught them rebellion. Okay, they taught them how to rebel. They didn't call it rebellion class because then people wouldn't have shown up, right? They taught it as if it was divine knowledge. They taught it in a way so as to make people receive it as if it was meant to bless them and help them and make their life better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when they're teaching each other witchcraft, I'm not quite sure how they couched that one into a great thing, but essentially they're teaching you how to use words. Careful, listen carefully, how to use words to create and change circumstances using that's what witchcraft is. Okay, yes, sorcery is included too when they add in pharmakia, when they add in drugs. As you can see, they were very interested in magical medicines. Okay, sounds like magic mushrooms to me when I see that. That's what I think of. I don't know why. But it's like magic mushrooms or some other weird stuff, right? And it was a folk medicine. This is where you get witch doctor from, okay? Because they actually think they're doctors. So it's a lot of what we have inherited, right? And so what is the intervention? Okay? This is the part that should wake everyone up. If everything that they were doing was acceptable, then Elohim doesn't send in Enoch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just that simple, folks. And he didn't send it in light. He sent him in heavy. He is king of the earth for 242 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not exactly sending in just a little tiny voice off into the corner. No, he's pulling them all aside and saying, hey, come here. These guys are condemned. What they're teaching you is condemned. Disconnect from all of that. Let me teach you Zedakah. He's a scribe of the Zedakah, the scribe of righteousness. So he's literally, that is literally who he is. And he's writing it all down and teaching it to them. So they don't have any excuses. They can't say they didn't know the right way to render time.
Mm-hmm.
So I began to look at this. And the result, so how do we judge a tree? We judge a tree by its fruit. What was the result that we see, brother, in just a few generations of the continuation of the teachings of the fallen? What's the result?
Pre-flood?
Yeah.
Right. The flood.
And why was that? What made Elohim make that decision?
Well, I think you've got the angels with these offspring, the Nephilim, trying to insert their dominance over the world. And the only way that they're going to be able to establish their kids as rulers is if their kids have all the knowledge, and all of that knowledge is all you will be taught. And so, of course, they couldn't really come out and say, okay, this is Yah's way of doing it, because then that would be correct. It wouldn't be lending to their kingdom. They had to do everything in their means to separate you from that.
So if they invented it, it's not Elohim's, it belongs to them, and you submit yourself to it, what does that do?
Well, that puts you subject to them.
Nice and simple, everybody. Did y'all catch that? See how simple that is? You know why? Because we got no skin in the game. We're not trying to protect a particular point of view. We're looking at things clinically.
And I do believe.
Go ahead.
I do believe that what could. I think that it's telling us that's the motive. The fallen angels wanted their children to be dominant on the earth, be the kings and rulers. And, there's parts in scriptures that say that these separated spirits are, in fact, still the powers in these areas they originally were.
Well, we're going to get to that. But before we go down that road too far, all I want to do is isolate just this one moment, because what we see is the fruit, and the fruit is violence throughout the earth. Okay? One of the commandments that Enoch is very adamant about enforcing and declaring is do not consume blood. Now, why would he have to tell this pre-Diluvian generation not to do that? Would it even enter? Does it even enter into the mind of the Zadok, of the righteous? No, we don't even think those thoughts, but other people do. Oh, yes, they do. And we've learned about all you QAnon people, all you people that are on to the deep state, all you people who figured out their secret, one of their ancient secrets right there. What did Apostle James also tell the Gentiles? He gave them 4 instructions. Okay. And it dealt with blood. Why? Same reason. So these are strong forms of witchcraft. Strong, potent. Think of them as addictive drugs, right? Except they're mental or spiritual. They're not physical drug like a crack cocaine, but crack is like a reflection of the kind of addiction you get when you fall under a spell. Okay? So they got a spell going, and they just told us that they were teaching incantations. Like that was part of what they taught them how to do. Okay? So they are still doing this. If you fast forward to the 1600s, you'll find, Francis Bacon and the boys and the Knights of the Helmet. And what are they doing? Taking the King James Bible and spinning incantations. Okay, things that people didn't even detect as they replace his name 6,800 times and put Baal in your mouth. They took out the name of Elohim and they put God, so that you would keep repeating the name of a Babylonian deity. Every single time you try to invoke Yahuwah Zebaot, you would say a Babylonian deity. There is no English word for Elohim. It is Elohim. That is the word.
Yeah. And if they can get you using the words
right
that they prescribed,
that they created with an incantation on it
at the time that they prescribed, with the willful ignorance. Well, I can't say it's willful if you don't know, but with the ignoring of Yah's commands, then they've got you casting the spell on yourself.
Okay, you just said the quiet part out loud. Sorry. All right, you just jumped all the way to the last part of this thing.
I'm sorry.
My goodness, you anointed people. I can't keep a secret around you anointed people, I tell you. That's exactly right. Okay, and so this is where we're headed. But we need to understand this, because if you don't understand that this was one of the first things they taught, guys, is how to put spells on words. And if you don't get that that was some serious witchcraft, the devil going into the garden saying, Elohim hath not said, and he's spinning words. He's spinning words. And what's he doing, man? He's deceiving. He's tricking. He's using words to get them to do things. He's witchcrafting them. That was witchcraft, what you saw in the garden. Pure and simple, using words to elicit an action that was in disobedience to Yahuwah, which causes Yahuwah to judge the person.
Yeah. Yeah, they have to get you to do it to yourself.
There's the secret, guys. Stay with me on this, because that's the secret to it all. All of it, from the beginning to this very moment, and every day, year, month in between. We're going to get there tonight. And so the Nephilim were reflections of this fallen nature. They were literally the offspring of sin. You don't get more bastard than the Nephilim. Okay? They are absolutely unauthorized to be here, which is why you see antediluvian structures still here on this earth. And the laughable excuses they give for when they were built is a total joke. They couldn't carry one of those bricks in the time periods. That's why you got to go to that channel. A few of us watch it. My Lunch, he's hilarious. I love that guy. And I forget his name, but he's a wonderful young man, and he does a great job of poking of fun, but he really educates you. And as you look he goes, yeah, look at this guy. And the same guy built 50 buildings or some ridiculous number.
Right.
We couldn't build one of these.
Right.
Okay. We couldn't build one.
Built the Taj Mahal in 20 minutes by an 18-year-old kid did it, and then just got out of the business and disappeared.
The pre-Diluvian world was filled. Okay, the giants and the Nephilim, this was why they were renowned. One of their reasons for being renowned was the grand architecture and structures that you find all over the earth. Mm-hmm. You find the same design. You find the same styles. You find majestic styles with doorways that are, 30 feet high. Who needs a door that's 30 feet high, right? Right. And so these are all things that come from the pre-flood era. They survived the water. Some of them are still under the water. They got to go down and find them down there, okay? But the point is that here we are seeing them messing around with basic elements of earth. So they're messing with how you heal and what is for healing, right? So they're right away, they want to be the experts there, fake news. Then they want to tell you how to solve all your problems using witchcraft, right? How to make your life better using incantations. Come on, I'm going to teach you how to cast spells. Like, this is a good thing. Okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, are you guys catching this? All of this in rebellion. And Enoch, when he goes before Elohim rebukes the attempt to intercede, mm-hmm. and says, yeah, I'm not listening to anything they have to say after what they did. Right. So that tells you the level of judgment that fell on these things, right? So just so we can see them. And here comes Enoch. And what does Enoch do? Enoch rebukes all of this, every bit of it. If you read it, you hear him. He's rebuking them directly to their faces. Okay, because they're crying now that the judgment is coming upon them. Enoch goes to tell them, yeah, you're done. Mm-hmm. Okay, you need a new word for done. You're so done. Stick a fork in it. You messed up. Okay, and so he lets them know. That's Peter's paraphrase, just so you know. I didn't say it quite like that, but So then what happens? He begins to tell them what Elohim showed him concerning time. And this is what we learn from our Father, okay? He has one way he does things. Everything else is wrong. That's it. That's right. What makes it narrow. Right. The devil will have 1,000 different ways. Well, you want to follow the moon, sun, and stars? I got some methods over here. Some people want to do a puff of smoke. I don't care. As long as you don't do what Enoch is telling you. Anything but that will be okay. Anything but the way that the scribe of righteousness has been sent as a messenger, okay, a pre-Moses messenger, a pre-Abraham messenger to tell us, hey, this is a problem. If you got it from the fallen, you're never going to get rid of the fallen in your life. You've got cursed things in your world. Follow this. And so he gives them the way, what is called doctrine. Now, this is what I want you to focus on, folks, because doctrine is how you go about your day, your week, your month, your year. If your doctrine is that, and people do believe this, there's people out there that believe that Mashiach went to the stake and died to give them a license to do whatever they want. There's people that think that, right? So somebody told them this. Somebody stood up in a pulpit, okay, and grabbed a book and slammed that point home. And they said, that's it. I sprinkled the blood on my head, and now I can go do anything I want. They actually believe this, right? So if they believe this, this is now a doctrine. How will we know that that's what they believe? Because it will affect the way they manage their day, their week, their month, and their year. Everything will be affected by what they believe. Now, if you are following and using the time mechanisms given to you by these knuckleheads, no other way to say this, what are your results going to be? You're going to have the same violence. You're going to have the same demonic infestation. You're going to have the same witchcraft. Yeah. So you've just defiled yourself. And brother jumped it because we're going to the era of Balaam, which is what they continue to use, guys. This is what makes this scary, isn't it, Alan? Because it's not even that hidden. It wasn't that hard to find. It's relatively easy to find this information. But it's putting the two and two together and going, wait a minute. Why are you guys so interested in how we manage time? Why do you care? Have you guys ever just stopped and thought about that? Like, why do you care? Okay. Why does it matter to you? The countries have gone to war over this. Antiochus went to war. Did he not? What did he tell them what they did? They did to the priests. You're an expert in this area. Tell them what Antiochus did over the calendar. Tell them.
Yeah, well, they were their belief system was, or their calendar, I should say, was lunar based. So they wanted to force that. They didn't like the blessing that Israel had under doing it the right way, under the correct calendar. So what can you think of a better way to topple them than to force them to change the one thing that everything in covenant is based on? Everything in covenant is based on it. Like you say, if you're wrong,
and
about
you somebody says, well, how can that be? Why does that matter? It doesn't make any difference. Oh, yes, it does. Because when he sets the time, go ahead, tell him.
Because when Elohim sets the time, it's blessed. That time is blessed. You can't take, and I'll go into this later on. He sets apart the seventh day. I'll touch on it a little bit here. He sets apart the seventh day.
Correct. And the beavers haven't forgot. So anybody saying, oh, they changed this, and how do you know? How do I know? Because of the beavers. Right. Nobody took them into a classroom and said, by the way, guys, the Julian, and then the this, and then the that, and this guy did that. Nah, they don't care. They ignore all of it. They stay on the same clock, and they ain't moving.
He sets it apart, but do we really think about and analyze what that means? It's set apart. So
set apart.
It's set apart.
Not float apart. It's set.
No. And if it's set apart on its own over here, it can't be any of these other six.
No, it cannot.
Plus, the mechanism that he puts in place, our clock on the fourth day, mathematically holds that separate. and it's easily provable. It holds it separate. The only thing you can do is use it wrong to defile it. So if you're beginning on a Friday evening, which is your preparation, as your Shabbat, that's, I'm not picking on people, but that's a form of defiling.
It is, well, so going back antediluvian, going back pre-flood, that's where that came from. The phases of the moon came from the fallen. There is no other way to say this. This is how the Sumerians and the Anunnaki, this is how they did it. This is where the Babylonians got it. They just picked it up post-flood through Noah's grandson, who, what did he do? Well, he's an amateur archaeologist, and he decided to dig things up out of the dirt. You know, some of the stuff that's still under the dirt, okay, that you got to dig up out of the dirt in order just to even read it. Well, he dug it up out of the dirt, and he began to interpret this stuff. Well, once you grab their writings, their words, what did we learn? What did they teach? How to do what? Incantations. So if you start reading demonic books, okay, or things inspired by fallen, by the devils, by the demons rather, what do you suppose is going to happen to you? You're playing with a Ouija board. What do you suppose is going to happen? You're going to come under the influence of those spirits. Oh, they'll be happy to show you deep secrets and wisdoms. Ooh, this is where this nonsense began. Right? And so he doesn't tell Noah that he found this. And so it begins again. So it begins again. Because all their tech, which was biological, right? So they're messing around with your genes, combining animals with man, combining animals with other, it committed every form of violence. The scripture is really clear about this. So it was all genetic tampering. I believe part of it was what you were describing, the Nephilim ensuring that their offspring would rule. But I also believe that they were desperately trying to wipe out the purity of the bloodline of Adam so that they could be included in the redemption.
Yes.
But it did not work.
No.
Elohim kept that bloodline pure and then wipes out everyone else, starts it again. And here we are, 5,000 years later going, whoo, this has been a ride.
And we can see post-flood folks always wondering, well, geez, where did these giants come from post-flood? Well, the incantations combined with the root dividing, combined with the whole spell recreates them. A simple root can cause in another plant or even another animal growth inhibitors to stop. So this is how these people can be all of a sudden start out a regular man, and then through these incantations and use of the roots, they could be enormous.
This is where you get what they call science out there. Okay, a lot of what is called science is them messing around with things from the fallen, and this is what they give you for medicines, and this is what they give you for remedies. And you know how, I don't have to tell you how enslaved mankind is. I don't have to get into any details. I don't have to talk about any particular thing, because it's earth-wide, it is society-wide, and the contaminations are everywhere. So the sorcerers figured out ways to put poisons even in your toilet paper. I kid you not. You got forever chemicals in most toilet paper. I don't know if you knew this. Bless all of you on septic, because you probably have such light toilet paper you might be getting out of there. But I tell you, it's crazy. This grosses you out. It should upset you. It should enrage you. You're surrounded by the fallen technology and the fallen thinking that has infiltrated all parts of society. And this is part of the reason why this is not a light matter. Part of what they're doing, and you touched it, is defiling the person. Because as they showed you, as we now know from just looking at the pre-flood world, they were into witchcraft. Now, what is necessary for witchcraft to work? Anybody want to guess? Somebody out there in the chat, come on, hop in here. You guys are sharp. I'm not leaving you out. I saw the comments you made. What makes the witchcraft work? Can a curse fall without a cause? According to the scripture, a curse without cause cannot alight. It will bounce. When Balaam tried to curse the children of Yashar'el, he couldn't do it, could he, brother? He couldn't pull it off. Why not? Because they were not in sin.
Right.
They were not in contamination. They were being led directly by Elohim.
Yep.
So because they would not do anything to open the door, you couldn't do a thing to them.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is where we learn a lesson. This is where we learn our vulnerability, and this is where our enemies learn to perfect their craft against you. Is they studied the error of Balaam, because Balaam eventually got him to sin. See what he told the king to do. We later find out through other writings and other commentary that he put a stumbling block before the children of Yashar'el, and he brought out the women. And because he brought out the women, the very same agents through which we fell in the garden and through which the fallen taught root cuttings and witchcraft and sorcery and divination. So he used women again who were already under the spells. Remember, these are not saved women. So these women are under what kind of influence? What spiritual influence are they under? Okay. They are under wrong time. They are under a spell that has been cast by the fallen. So when the fallen tell them to take their clothes off and go parade in front of the Israelites, they do it. Okay. They do it. They obey. And what happens? Well, the Israelites begin to have sexual intercourse with these women and begin to sin before Elohim. So now the judgment comes upon the household of faith, and now you see Israel being judged, and the plague. And if you remember, one of the Levites, I forget who it was specifically, but he had to use the spear, and he threw the spear through the couple that were right in the very act, and he stayed the plague right there. It was one of the princes. I think it was Zimri. I forget who, but it was one of the princes. And thank you, Gerald. See, I knew Gerald will hop in there and help me out. And so there, guys, go on over to the Truther's Journal. There's the link right in the discussion, and it gets right into the details of the story. I just Phineas. Thank you, sweetheart. Appreciate it. You are so awesome. Boy, you are handier than a Swiss Army knife, let me tell you. Okay, so just to get the idea, just not to get too much into the details of the story, but so much as to understand that because the children of Israel fell for this trick, now the plague came, but not until. So what did they learn? They're like, our witchcraft only works when we get them to voluntarily cross the line. Right then, they went down in the lab. Right then.
Yep.
Right then. And they've been in that same lab ever since, guys, figuring out every which way possible to get you to contaminate yourself. This is what you've got to get. You've got to understand this. Ignorance is your enemy. And they have surrounded you. I know. That's why we have to band together and share notes and compare what we learn, because you are surrounded by every form of trickery, every lie, deceit, all to contaminate you so their witchcraft will work on you. Because haven't you noticed that as you come into right time, you start obeying commandments, you keep the Sabbath day, what starts happening? Their tricks stop working. The
right.
Jedi mind trick, it no longer works on you. Why do the Jedi mind trick doesn't work anymore? What happened? What happened, Alan?
Right. Yeah. When you're on the path, when you're on the the path you're supposed to be, the narrow path, then you're not in their jurisdiction. It doesn't work.
Well, say that again. He said the key word. Oh, Alan, you're beautiful. Say it again.
When you're walking in Elohim's instruction, which is the narrow path, then you cannot be in their jurisdiction. So in order for their power to have any effect on you, you've got to first not know Elohim's instructions, not use them correctly. And that's basically what the whole thing is. Slowly tainting the instructions from one side to the other. Slowly changing the things you can eat from one side to the other. Slowly changing the words from this to that. And at this point in time, wow, are we contaminated?
Yes. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're starting to understand. Okay. Because once you understand the pre-Diluvian deception of the Sumerians, and then that Enoch revealed the truth to the only survivors of the flood. So just take this into consideration, because there's no wheat harvest. You can't even see the moon. There's clouds everywhere. Okay. How does he even know what time it is? Right. He knows because he's been taught how it works. Okay. So he could tell just by what gate the sun was going through, what month it was. He knew the gates. If you know the gates, you can tell where it is just from the gates alone. You could figure out the month. All right. If you know the gates, and anybody who takes time-lapse photography of the sun at different intervals, like my sister, I forget, Thunderberg up in Northern California, does beautiful work there, keeps track of the pictures of the sun in different stages. Once you learn this, like this is, and Noah was 600 years old. He wasn't a child.
Right.
He'd been on the earth a while. Okay, he had time to review this over and over. We're figuring it out. We're 1/10 his age, and we're figuring it out. So by 600 years old, this was nothing for him to figure out. He knew exactly where he was all the time. He could look at the sky and he could know where he was. Okay. And so this is a very important thing. And it wasn't dependent on the same things that you see the Sumerians, okay, and the Babylonians, which is what started to contaminate Israel. Why? To put them under subjection, because they were free. They were the only nation that was not under the sway of these spirits. And you can see them. They wanted in desperately. Okay. They wanted in desperately. So they found a way. They find a way to get Israel to sin. Now, this is what I began to look at. Is this done in mass? Was this done MASS mass? You know how they like doing a lot of mass things? They like to get everybody into something. Well, when they put you all under sesquiv, right? They didn't put one or two of you. They put you all in slavery, right? Mass. It's the way they like to think. So that tells you something about the way they think. Whereas Mashiach deals with you one-on-one. They like mass. Okay. So the freedom comes in the Torah, right? Just what my brother was saying. He's saying if you're obeying the Torah, which is really clear, you never have to mingle with these women. That was a clear violation of Torah. You didn't need anybody to tell you that was stupid, right? So if you obey the Torah, that trick doesn't work. But because they fell for it, they had a plague. A lot of people died, and we learned a lesson. So did our enemy.
And they figured out that lust that flesh lust, that lust to satisfy the flesh was the easy way to get to you. And that's, you look around you now today, and that's the avenue they attack you from every time. Great big giant burgers, women wearing no clothes, selling cars, or in photographs, selling cars. That's not near as bad as it used to be, but you can go anywhere, marketplace, anything. It's the first photograph. The first photograph they show you has nothing to do with the ad most of the time, but it's a little bit sketchy. It's, it's
exactly. Yeah. But what they're doing, and so we all know this. We instinctively know this. Like we're not stupid. We figured out. Come on, we all know that they're trying to trick us every which way, right? We know this, but we don't really understand why. Okay, you don't really understand this one point, and this is what I want you guys to get: is that's how the witchcraft works. You have to curse yourself. So, just on the subject, just of time, just not even going into any other area. The fact that they were able to set up an alternative to Yahuwah's management of time. So Yahuwah gives Enoch the way. Enoch is the scribe. Enoch's got the word. You don't have to like Enoch. You don't even have to think he's a good guy. You don't have to know. I don't care what you think of him. He was still used of Elohim to set the time. He's the timekeeper. Okay? So like him or don't like him, it doesn't matter. He's Elohim's timekeeper. Well, you know how the devil is. He goes over and says, well, I'm going to do my own thing. Well, we're going to do our own thing. Well, we're going to have our own method. Well, we're just going to do it our way. Right? Okay. So you got demonic ways of managing time. Great. That's fantastic. Let's look at the fruit of that. So 200 years, so like it's 2023. So think 1823, right? Is that right? Yeah. 1823. So just think like 200 years ago, they switched something, right? And does it affect us today?
Yeah. Are you talking about the...
Oh, I don't know. 1871, they made some decisions. Does it affect you today?
Yes, they changed.
Yeah, they changed some things, huh?
Yeah.
How about 1913? They changed some things. How about 1933? They changed some things. Do they affect you today? Okay. So just because something happened a while back there, doesn't mean it's not rippling forward, right? Okay. So back here,
it's almost like they're fine-tuning the error.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to point out. Is they got better knobs at it. They're really clever at their witchcraft. Okay, they're fine-tuning this witchcraft. Man, they got newspapers that print different headlines in different parts of the country.
Yeah, and now the AI writes most of the articles.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Okay. So backing up. So we have 200 years before Mashiach even gets here. He's not yet on the earth. This is BC. Everybody with me? A couple hundred years BC. We know Messiah is coming because we now know that, right? But at the time, they weren't sure. They don't know what's happening. All they know is Daniel prophesied an exact date, and now the Zadok are figuring it out. So there's a lot of like anxiety. You got to understand that the devil gets really anxious about whatever Elohim's going to do. So he gets really freaked out, right? So what does he do? He sends in Antiochus, his little puppet. Because Antiochus didn't think any of these thoughts on his own. These were all demonic thoughts. You do not go into the holy place and put a pig on the altar unless you got a big old fat demon inside you.
Yeah, that's anger.
That's some serious demonic, guys. Okay, this is before Mashiach, 200 years before Mashiach. All right. By the way, you've already got people being called Christians in this same time period because remember, Christ and Christ figures are nothing new. So 200 years before Mashiach, you got Serapis Christus over there in Egypt. And his followers were called the bishops of Christ 200 years before Mashiach comes. So this can't possibly be. This is all imposterism, right? This is all one imposter after another, because they're trying to usurp his power. We see it, we know it. Okay, so then what happens? Antiochus, in a rage, because the Zadok, those who were keeping the way that Enoch instructed, the way that Moshe instructed, they refused to deviate. They were staying on right time. Okay? And what happens? This infuriated, demon-filled Antiochus comes in, and he has had it with you, Zadok. He's had it with you. Have you seen the rage? Have you encountered it? When you try to tell people about the calendar, have you encountered the rage? Oh, you will if you keep going.
Yeah.
All right. Have you encountered how angry the moon people get? and they're willing to kill you because this is so violent inside them. Whoa. Now we know how the earth was filled with violence. What do they do? What's the fruit of this? Well, we see killing of priests, blood everywhere, war breaks out, okay? Inside the household of faith, they're having to fight each other. So these demons are coming in to create war, blood everywhere, death everywhere. And what do they have to have? The Zadok have to grab the library and run for their lives, folks, to Beth Arbara. Run for their lives. The God culture does a wonderful job of detailing some of this information. You don't need me to go. I'm just giving you brushstrokes. This is important to understand the overall picture because then you can dig into the details. Now that you understand what was going on and they were trying desperately to put the last bit of light out. What is Israel's job? Israel is light of the world. It's the only one doing it right. We're supposed to rebuke everyone else just by continuing to do it right. Okay. I'm still here. I can hear you. So what do they do, Alan? What does Antiochus come in and do? He kicks out or chases out the appropriate, right, and linear descendant priests. And what does he do? Tell him what he did.
Well, I'm thinking later on, he defiles the temple, obviously.
He does. He defiles the temple and he brings in fakes.
Right. The priests that are going to run off, that are not using covenant schedule and Elohim's ways. But what I was thinking of is that once the Zadok, another part a lot of people don't think about is when they left, they take that library with them, leaving this gaping hole to be filled in by whoever just walked in there's ideas of how it should be. And that's how it gets written that way. And this is why you see such a blatant difference between, okay, this is this is based off vernal equinox, this is based off lunar. Completely different. But walking in the light, all of these little things that fly by our ears mean something. Set apart, walking in the light. They're all leading you back to the way it should run. I don't know where I was.
And the pain of death. I remember Octavia doing a teaching, and she was reading about this mother who was encouraging her sons who refused to submit to Antiochus and refused his demands, and Antiochus just couldn't understand how these people just absolutely refused to compromise. And of course they had to find someone to do it. So finally they got some Hellenistic liars, Hasmoneans and others, to go ahead and pretend, because as far as the Greeks are concerned, it's all pretense anyway. That's how they run all their other temples, just a bunch of nonsense. They use it as mind control. It had nothing to do with truth. It had nothing to do with worship of Elohim. It just has to do with controlling people and government. That's it. That's all they cared about.
Marketing and commercial. They wanted to do trade with this nation. We need you to not have everything closed on this particular day. We need to come in, we need to come in on your Shabbat and unload our trucks.
Yeah. So, basically, that's more or less what it boils down to. You're inconvenient. You're out of sync with us. We want you in sync. Get on the program, right? Okay. Except here's the thing. Your program will put me in a spell. The minute I jump in, I'm like this. Dun, right? And all of a sudden, I can't think straight. And there's a whole section of my brain that's not functioning right. Why? And all of a sudden, I got these violent thoughts, and I struggle with maintaining my composure, and my anger levels are out of control, and all of this different stuff starts to manifest, such that 200 years later, the one place on earth that should be pretty demon free is chock full of them. Not even 200 years later, and you got demons everywhere. Man, the disciples that's their number one job, is casting out devils. They're casting them out left and right. Here's the problem, folks. You can cast them out. If they stay in the thing that got them demonized, all you did was sweep and garnish a house for that demon to come and bring 7 times worse.
Right. And that's kind of what I was talking about knowing the instructions, the narrow path. Knowing those is by obscuring those or hiding those. It's a lot easier to sell you the wrong stuff. But once you start implementing the right stuff, then all of the lunar stuff and the moon craziness, that all loses its spell. But
right,
like I say, they've been fine-tuning so many things that it's a search. You're not going to just...
Most people don't even look there. They don't even think about that. They don't consider that. They go, what does that have to do? You see, they dismiss it. And that's how it works. That's the beauty of it in the evil sense. The beautiful side of that evil, if you will, is its subtlety. The fact that you do not consider it that big a deal. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Perfect marketing. Like
holidays. I mean, Christmas, the one that just passed by, is just obvious. I mean, the only thing that it has to do with Scripture is the fact that they borrowed this birth story. It has nothing else to do with it.
Nope. It's not at all. And they've been butchering that previous to Mashiach coming also, with all kinds of goofy stories that I think come from that same batch of spirits. Because once again, they don't care what error you're in, just so long as you're in error, especially one they invented. So think of it like a copyright. Okay. If you're following something that they copyrighted, you're under them.
Right.
So if you look at it like that, you're like, oh, so if they like name this and copyright it and it's their thing, right? And it's got their satanic symbols all over it, except they hand it to you. They took all the Satan symbols off and just handed you the method. You don't know where it came from. You just follow the method. You're following evil, even though they took the cover off. It's like taking the box and telling you that, you don't even know that what a Ouija board is, and they don't tell you what it does. And they just say, yeah, it's just a kid's toy. Right. And next thing you know, you got demons because you're conducting, what is it called? Divination. You're performing divination, right? So you're committing a sin. The kid doesn't know. The child is unaware that they're committing a sin. They're a child playing with a toy. They thought it was a toy. How many people have fallen for that? Now, I use the Ouija board because it's a good example of innocence. You don't know what it is. You think it's no big deal. Next thing you know, a spirit is moving the thing and you are demonized. And you don't even know the sin you committed was the sin of divination. Now, here's the compounding problem, guys. This is why we have different results than other people have. Okay? Why our relapse rate is in the dirt compared to churchianity, where they got to have a revolving door on prayer lines because the people coming back for the same thing over and over again. And don't let anybody lie to you, because I watched it. It was one of my biggest complaints and biggest things that will stick with me. My brothers will tell you, like, oh, there's one thing. I used to make them all stand up. I wouldn't even let them fall down. People that have been with me, they know this. Okay, so what is going on here? We see the results are not what we should have. Why? Because they put layers of tricks. So if you get delivered from a demon of fornication, okay, I want you to see this overarching time element up here that you're not even noticing. It's way up in the heavens. It's controlling your day, week, month, and year. Only you haven't detected that as being demonic because you're not paying attention to that. You're kicking out low-level demons. You kick out this demon, you kick out that demon, you kick out that problem, you kick out that problem. You never deal with this, but you kick out this and you kick out that and you kick out that, but you never deal with this and you kick out this and you kick out that, and you're always kicking these things out. You never deal with this thing. This thing is right above your head all the time because it's the way you manage your day, your week, your month, your year.
Yep.
So it's got legal right in your life. You open the door by letting it govern.
And by not following the path you should have been. It's a combination.
Everybody that fell for the trickaroo of the Popanola, Mr. Popo over here.
The Popanola?
Popanola, who told you all that the Shabbat moved because he's so powerful.
Right.
Well, he's a witch.
Mm-hmm. I want to know
he's a witch.
Yeah.
That's witchcraft. That's using words to get you to do something that is contrary to the scriptures, so you curse yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's how it works.
That's simple. So all these people, they're trying desperately to get free. And what have you noticed? What do you notice? And there's a bunch of churchianity watching right now going, that's true. We do take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. Mm-hmm. That is true. I cannot deny that. Has this man been at our prayer lines? Does he know? I've been at this a minute.
Mm-hmm. Well, in their mind, oh, we're going to church. We're going for Christmas and we're going for Easter. And
they're right there. Circus. They're going to the circus. Did you know that you just said circus? No, they put that word in your mouth. Circus. You think it means assembly. It does not. The word church is a circus. Truthers Journal. Get over there and learn. All right. How about holy?
Right.
Holy is not kadosh. Kadosh is not holy. These are 2 different things. What? Yep. Everything God, the word God, it is good, Guden or Odin. And the pronunciation, clever little, devious little, I tell you, this one's the hard one for me because it's the name of a Babylonian deity of fortune. So they got people praying to a Babylonian deity of fortune to get them out of a mess. Wow. These guys are good. You cannot deny. They got in front of you. If you keep denying it, they'll keep tricking you. When you go, okay, see, I'm not going to be vain. I'm going to stop and study to show myself approved. A workman who need not be ashamed, correctly, rightly dividing the word of truth from these liars who contaminated your mouth with a witchcraft language that they sat up and deliberately put ciphers in on purpose. I mean, that is like push. When you get it, you go, whoa, we're surrounded. Yeah, that's why he's dragging you back to Hebrew. Saints, that's why he dragged the late 1500s and early 1600s saints back to Hebrew. Okay? That was a massive, just the same way you guys are in, like you're in personal revival right now. All of you out here, you're in revival. You're coming into the truth. You're reviving. They had a revival back then, and they were going back to the Hebrew. That's how they spoke to the natives. The natives understood Hebrew. They didn't understand these other languages, but Hebrew, they could communicate. Okay? And they were studious. They had figured out that these translations were our problem. Okay? These are very learned people, very sharp minds. You're not talking about dumb people. So these enemies had to step up their game. Hence, Sir Francis Bacon and the Knights of the Helmet giving you 20,000 English words. Wow. Talk about witchcraft. To the point where now, today, you don't even know how to answer if a cop pulls you off on the side of the road because you don't know whether or not you should say you're a person or not a person, or you should answer him or not answer him, because you know from the minute he's opening his mouth, it's trickery time. You know it. I know it. We're all going, whoa. What are we waking up to? Word games, witchcraft, spelling, grimoire, right? And so as we wake up, we're going, wow, how did we end up here? All right. So this is how they got the demons into people, folks. The time element was a huge demonic doorway. I did a whole discussion on this pre-Diluvian demonic doorways. I did it in a series called Uncovering Demonic Doorways. It was part 3. I strongly recommend those of you that are still struggling with the moon thing to go look at that and sit down and take notes and do some study and find out what's really going on. Because as you do, you will realize the big Ouija board you bought into when you start rendering your time as Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you say these things out of your mouth. They got you calling months by the names of gods, false deities, something prohibited in the scripture. The first day of the week, here, Yom Rishon. Second day, Yom Shani. It literally means day 1, day 2, day 3. That's it. That's what they're called. Day 1, day 2, day 3, all the way till Shabbat. It's the only one with a name. Then we start again with day 1, day 2. That's it. Mm-hmm. Why? To avoid saying what they're putting in your mouth. Why? Because it's curse words. You're contaminating yourself. And they know this, so they want you to poison yourself. Then they can say, hey, it wasn't us. It wasn't me. You did it to yourself. You cursed yourself. But you gave it to me. Sure, I gave you a choice, and you chose to use the Gregorian way of managing your time.
Right.
1582, he slips it out there. Oh, by the way, here's the new calendar. Mm-hmm. And that's how commerce is now done. Okay? So what are they going to be hating? Who are they going to always consider to be? Oh, you pains. You guys. Because you went back to the ancient pathway, which is completely different to them. Mm-hmm. Look at your relapse rate. Pay attention as you keep the Sabbath day. Funny how whatever you get free from, you tend to stay free from it.
And to this day, still, I just thought I'd mention this because I encounter it. You know, I helping a friend of mine with his music store project, and he knows that, of course, on Shabbat I won't be there for any reason, and that is his busiest day. It commercially, that seventh day, Saturday, is the industry's biggest day. It's the biggest day for sales, retail sales, stuff like that. So yeah, that's when you see it, you see it. Another thing is keeping the Shabbat separate. Like I said, mathematically, he said in the creation, mm-hmm. on the fourth day, he set the mechanism that's going to keep the Shabbat separate. It's going to, the mechanism, the clock starting on the fourth day, it's mm-hmm. going to keep, as it goes around, no other Moedim are ever going to cross it.
Nope.
The closest you're going to get is the Day of Atonement, and the only thing that'll go wrong there is if you use evening starts, then your Day of Atonement and your Shabbat are going to run into each other, which is a good indicator that evening starts are not correct, because a Day of Atonement is an evening to day to evening event. It's mm-hmm. it's between the evenings. So
that's right.
Another thing that's kind of unique that a lot of people don't think about, and this is just occurring to me now. I don't know if I should probably look into it, but Moon Day, get this, there's nothing ever on that. Nothing hits it. Not that it's set apart, but he doesn't have anything there. Maybe that's why they like that one so much.
I don't know.
But all of the other
personally, the violence is the dead giveaway to me.
Yeah.
The kingdom of Elohim suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. And this was not a good thing. And as we look at the way that we, by the Zadok, hold time, because of the holy menorah, which only has 7 branches, never 9, we can maintain time. Not only is this used for the 7 days, but we always are able to manage our intervals without the addition of additional months. Mm-hmm. And again, this was one of the prohibitions that was spoken of in the scripture, in the book of Jubilees specifically. He gave us a command that we would keep our days, our calendars, 364 days only, mm-hmm. because something specific would happen if you didn't.
Yes.
And the admonition was very strong. If you didn't do it correctly, there would be a result. And what was the result, Alan?
If you do not count 364, you will interrupt the cycle of the week, moving the Shabbat to another day, moving Moedim to another day. All of our feasts.
So then you will make the feast day. Go ahead. Right.
You will make the feast day an abomination, or you will make the make an abomination your feast day. You know what I mean?
The abominable day you'll set apart as a holy day,
yeah.
and you will trample on the holy because you'll be off time.
Yep.
So the way that we like to say it around here is, if you're wrong about time, you're wrong all the time.
Mm-hmm.
This affects everything. So somebody asked, well, should we still interact in this world? So we have to keep track of both,
mm-hmm.
right? So we know what day we are on in the calendar of the king, but because we are in the world, not of it, but we're in the world, we also know that it also translates
mm-hmm.
into a different date on their calendar. So unfortunately, we have the job of keeping both,
mm-hmm.
which is why we produce a calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And what if you go over to just let me just say this, if you go over to remnanthouse.org, because somebody's asking me about it, so I just want to answer you real quickly. And you go over there, what you're going to find, and we're not the only ones. Now a lot of people are putting out calendars, beautiful calendars too. Man, they're making us look bad, so they're doing great. I love it. I don't care. I think it's fantastic. Make them. Go get them, guys. I love it. Do a beautiful job. But if you go over to remnanthouse.org, not only will you see the countdown to the new year, which we keep there, so that since people like countdowns,
mm-hmm.
I understand there's people doing countdowns. Cool. Our ball is going to fall in 79 days, 11 hours, 9 minutes, and 8 seconds. Okay, that's when our ball is going to fall. I don't know about anybody else's ball going to fall, but that's it. Now, if you scroll down here, to the bottom, here's that demonic doorway series I was telling you about right on the front page. You can download the calendar for free. There's a right click. So if you right click on that, see how I did that? I just used the right button, save link as, and you can save the calendar right to your computer. And then you have the Zadok calendar, the way that the priests of the temple kept this time. Now you'll see here, this is the current month, the 10th month. Okay, so where are we? Well, we're right here. So we're on the 12th day of the 10th month. That's where we are. So we're at 10/12. That's our date. But also you'll notice right here is the Gregorian date. So we did that on purpose because you live in this world. You have to deal with them. So you have to have both. So now you have both. And a lot of calendars that are coming out now that are Zadok priestly calendars are doing that. They're giving you both dates so that you can keep track of both, because we know, and he knows, that you have to do things inside of their world, right? So to communicate with them, it's like going into a different world, and that's the world they're in, and they're in another world, guys. Mm-hmm. They're in another world, and the more you see this, the more you're like, wow, they really are in another world. Yes, the things that affect them under that don't affect you, and vice versa. Okay, so you're keeping kingdom time and you're just visiting the world, if you will, versus living in the world and visiting the kingdom. See the difference? And not knowing, having any clue. No, we don't want that. You should be. That's why I love that other people are doing calendars. Isn't that awesome, brother, that people are putting them out? What is that saying? It says they're getting it. Mm-hmm. It says they're getting it such that they can do it themselves. They don't even need us. Hello?
Right.
It's what we were trying to say is you don't need a priest. You don't need people to tell you from the temple, today is the first. You don't need that. You already know.
Right.
Okay, yes, we do it because we do it as an example, right? But this is why Paul said, don't let these pagans, these heathen, these ignoramuses out here who don't know nothing, don't you let them judge you on holy days, on feast days, on new month days. Don't you let them start to talk to you, because they will talk you out of keeping it correctly, right? And so he said, don't let them judge you, because you know how the pagans are. The minute you tell them you keep the Sabbath, they want to preach to you. They love to, these spirits love to teach. That's what they do. They sit you down and, let me teach you the secrets. The latest thing is 13 months. There used to be 13 months. That's just an old deception. We kicked that one off a long time ago, but they're bringing it back. Hey, I found an old Bible with 13 months in it. Yeah. I found an old Bible where they removed his name 6,800 times too.
I'm sure if you looked around, somebody wrote a book where there's 20 months.
They've been lying for a long time, folks. You could dig up lies too.
Right.
You could dig up a placard and it tells a story. How do you even know the story is true? It could be some bedtime story some guy told his kid, and we're taking it as a serious story.
Mhm.
It's like digging up Disney a year from now and thinking, Snow White was real or something.
Well, the texts tell us 12 months.
There's no way to add 13.
Mm-mm.
Okay, that's nonsense.
You can't. Well, on the lunar. You have to.
Thank you, Katrina. I'm so glad you joined us. One of my favorites.
Right.
Talk about an expert on the calendar. My goodness, she's become our resident expert on all things time related, right? And every time she digs something out, now I don't know about any of you, but if you're a friend of Katrina Tehar's on Facebook and she posts something, you first go, okay, let me look. What are you telling me now? And she just, and did you know this? Just keep busting out every one of the lies that these enemies have worked hard. And I love you guys for that, by the way. Keep going. You're doing an amazing job of exposing every one of the layers of these lies, which were keeping people in bondage, folks. That was the game. That was the game of the Pharisees. You see, there's a doctrine, a Kabbalistic doctrine. They went the other way. They decided that the way to bring Elohim's power back to the earth was to do every sin they could think of. And I know you're sitting there going, what? Yeah, that's who you're fighting. Mm-hmm. That's why Mashiach said that they would go over hill and dale to create twice the servant of hell as themselves. They wouldn't go in and they would stand in the way. That's why when you tell people the name of Yahusha, there comes some idiot with some Pharisee teaching in him. Oh, no, let me tell you. Nobody asked you. Sit down. I go to your timeline. All you got is motorcycles. Be quiet over here. Mm-hmm. I go to your timeline. I look at what you're doing. You don't have a thing, but you got something to say. Puppet. You know what I mean? You're just like, wow. Hello, devil. Because they're demonized. Any one of them that are under the sway, they have at least one demon attending them. At least. Okay? And many times it is multiple demons. And they can't get free, guys. You can cast out the demon of fornication. You can cast out the demon of this or that. If they are under the big spell, the little ones don't matter. Mm-hmm. That's the trick. That's why time matters. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what makes it a salvation issue, because you can't even get your days right. And you're managing your time the way that they taught you. So whose doctrine are you following? Who taught you to start your days in the evening? What a stupidity is that? Mm-hmm. So if your day begins in the evening, when does your night begin? It's stupid. Your day begins in the morning because that's the day. And it ends in the evening because that's the end of the day. And then it begins the night. There's two parts of 24-hour period, day and night. One starts in the morning, the other starts in the evening. It's not complicated. How do we get complicated? Because they're Babylonians. What do Babylonians do? There's Babylonians.
Yeah.
They confuse everything.
Yep.
Okay.
And the more
I'm saying.
And the more scientific folks try to get with it, and I did it too. The more scientific they try to get with it, with time zones and latitudes and where you're standing and equilux and all that, the farther away you're getting from what he said. When the sun comes up, move that peg.
Move the peg.
Move the peg.
Simple.
It's the next day.
Hey, Jaime, move the peg.
Right.
See, that wasn't hard.
Right.
We taught the 8-year-old to do it.
And
the 8-year-old's got the peg.
And
I mean, if you give the job to Ezra, you think you ever got to worry about when the peg is going to be? He's going to move it every morning.
Right.
He's going to yell at you if you don't move the peg.
Right.
It's a child's job. It's so simple. Okay.
Yep. And they see it easy.
And if you teach them correctly from the beginning, they don't see any problem. They're like, well, what's the problem? I totally get this. Right.
Right.
So here we are. We have the witches, which love to teach, So we saw right from the beginning, they think it's their right to come and teach you secrets, divine wisdoms, and all this. They think they can't be quiet. They'll come dip their bread in your bowl. Let me tell you, I know the answer. While they eat your bread in your bowl, okay? And they're lying. They don't survive a fact check, not even a Google fact check, much less a deep dive. They can't even survive a Google fact check, okay? And so you got to understand, folks, that this is intentional. This was not like lightly done. The fact that people are celebrating the new year today is just their declaration of just how blind they actually are. They're actually openly saying and celebrating their blindness. Like, it's something to be celebrated. And it's one thing for the people to do it because they don't know any better. But when you see people that are supposed to be ministers and ministry, and they're standing up in front, okay, am I right, Alan?
Yeah.
And they're outing themselves in front of you for money.
I was going to say that's that marketing. That's that
Who are they kidding?
consumerism there. Yeah.
They decided they're trying to be clever. Like, oh, how could we? Hey, they won't mind. We'll just do a year of review. Oh, nonsense. Okay, we all know exactly what you're doing. You're grabbing as big a crowd as you can so you can pass the bucket. It's that simple. I know I just said the quiet part out loud. I probably upset a bunch of pastors right there. I don't care. I do not care. Do I look like I'm stuttering? I do not care. The reality is they're doing it on purpose because they're only interested in mammon, not the truth. There is nobody out there who is walking with Messiah who would lie to you like that just to raise money.
Well,
they just couldn't live with themselves.
The truth would empty those buildings out.
That's correct.
It would empty them
I
out.
said it in 99 when I said I ruined their building projects, right? Why? Because I'm going to tell them that you are the living stones, bread of all men. I've been saying it for over 25 years, and they've hated me all along. Why? Because if you go out there, my brethren, and you understand that the assembly is what is needed, not the buildings, okay? The assembly is required. I need my brother Jim. I need Yashar'el. I need Alan. I need Dave. I need Robert. I really need Robert. Robert's a sentinel. You really need Robert. You know, you need Dominique. You need Octavia and Tony. You need the gifts working together. You need Brian. You can't skip the people. They are the ecclesia. They are the assembly. And these brick buildings that they inherited, or here's one, they founded it.
Oh, sure.
In the middle of Wyoming, there's a 6-story building. We founded it. There's not you guys are in horse and buggy, but you founded it. Right? What are they? All they're doing is legitimizing their buildings. That's it. Okay. The reality is you are the ecclesia. It doesn't matter if you meet under a tree. It doesn't matter if you meet in the backyard. What did Mashiach do? He took them all out of the buildings and sat them on the side of a hill.
Yep.
Okay. Because you don't need all that. What you needed to know was that you were in charge. That because you walk in the righteous path, because you don't sit underneath their falsehood, and they're not filtering rain of deceit onto you with evil doctrine. So they're raining down from the heaven a lie about time. This puts you under deception. By the way, your brain has been trying to figure this out this whole time. This is a lie that you couldn't figure out. It irritated you. Some of you just left it alone because you couldn't figure it out. But any lie in your head rolls around, and it drives you a little bananas. And the more that compounds, you literally go mad. So what is happening? He's giving you back your sound mind. He gives you back the sound mind. And how does he do it? Time. Time is a massive part of that, so that you get on correct time. Why does that matter? So you keep the Sabbath, which is a sign between you and Elohim. That's why you can't touch that. It's literally your indicator, your shine back to heaven that you are in your place. So you mess with that, you're on your own. The results are yours, right? You're going to get all the curses that they had over your head. Boom, they're going to fall. They're going to start to land on you. This is why some of you guys, you've seen it. You're going, man, I'm under attack. And you hear believers, right? Have you heard that, Alan, where believers will come to you and, oh, brother, I'm under attack. Man, I got all these things going on. What's going on? Or here's one, they start coming near to the anointed. And the closer they get, they hit what I call the vortex. What's going on? Demons that are not able to get in on over these guys are now looking at you as fresh meat. You're the new kid in the yard. You better get connected with the right gang. That's all I got to say. All right. So what do you do once you figure this out? What happens then, Alan? Now this is where we get down to the brass tacks. So the Zadok priests are commended in Ezekiel. He tells them, he says, hey, Zadok, you're the ones doing it correct. When the Levites went astray and ministered in idols, in idolatry, this is what he calls it, okay? The Zadok stayed true. So you will minister to me. They are going to get other duty. They're not going to get to come in because of what they did. So he speaks against the others who went away and commends and lifts up the Zadok with a blessing. Okay. So now this heir of Balaam curse, which we were warned about for the last days. So this is specific to the last days, is the heir of Balaam. Now, Alan, do you see the heir of Balaam affecting people out there?
Oh, of course. Of course.
Okay.
If you're not, like I said, I keep saying, if you're not walking in the instructions, then you're in the jurisdiction. So the adversary's jurisdiction. So knowing where the feast days are and where the Sabbath is, and knowing how to keep the count is the biggest factor in keeping all of those and keeping yourself on the path. With those comes, with every feast comes and repeating it comes the deeper and deeper understanding each time you do of what
every single time. We have never done it that we didn't learn something.
Right. And it's practice. The more you study it and get the times right, and we all didn't have them right exactly to start with, but now I'm at the point where looking at it in the math zone, in the actual courses he set, I can't prove it wrong. It's right there. I can't.
It's right there. It's the truest to the movement of the clock in the sky. It is the truest. It stays true. This is what I'm saying. It's just the gates alone would point you. They come on exactly correct. When we have the first day, when we have Hodesh, it is literally the sun moved to the next gate. I mean, it is like you could just use that and you would have the same exact timing. You just can't fake this. Okay. And that's important, guys. And the reason why we're saying all this is because we want to encourage you to test what we're telling you, right? So he says, examine the spirits. Here's what we know you're going to find, but you test for yourself. Do it 1 year. Keep the Sabbath day and keep the feast according to the schedule that the Zadok priest did. Watch the difference. Don't take our word for anything. You see for yourself. Walk it out. He says, my favorite verse, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth. And so he wants to put joy in your, he'll be so joyed for you that you walk this out. You stop letting the heir of Balaam keep hitting you with these sort of wild, out of left field, where did that come from attack? How many have had that one where you're going, man, I don't even know where that came from. Okay, now it may not stop the day you come in. You may have some taper off time period. But as you continue to walk in the Sabbath and continue to walk in obedience, not forgetting the things he commanded, what's going to happen? Your enemies, their arrows aren't going to hit you because you made the secret place of the Most High your habitation. This is his secret place.
And
This is how you find it.
In our experience, those blessings that accompany doing the instructions are immediate. I mean, you can see them within minutes. You can see them within
in some
a day.
cases it comes in so fast you're like, what was I ever arguing with that for?
Right.
Now, those of you that are still considering this, but maybe you're sitting here, amen. Maybe you're sitting here because somebody else dragged you, right? Okay. You're wondering about your friend. Are they in some cult or something? Did they go crazy? No. Listen, you too. Listen carefully. We are all as just brothers and sisters, seeking first the kingdom in his right way, because the results we saw, and you see them too, were as fake as a $3 bill. And we knew that that was not correct. We serve the Elohim of signs and wonders. We serve the Elohim of miracles. We serve the Elohim who moves mountains. And we weren't seeing none of that in fakianity. So we started asking hard questions. And that's how we ended up here. We ended up here because we stopped accepting the warden's answer and we began to dig. And as we did, we found his name. We found the truth. We started to find truth about all kinds of things. And time was a big element of that, because keeping the Sabbath day is what in many cases caused the explosion. And you have to keep it, because in keeping it, you are declaring dominion over your vessel. You're saying this far, commerce, and no further. I'm shutting you down. You're done. I'm going to sit. I don't care that it's the best sales day. I don't care that I can't play in the golf tournament because I won't be able to play on a Shabbat. Then I guess I won't be playing in the tournament. Okay? I guess I'm just going to forfeit the thing that you think is so star-spangled awesome, because I got news for you. Shalom. Ain't nothing on earth worth trading shalom for. Just ask the wealthy.
And you can, you get to the point where instead of saying, oh, I can't work that day, it doesn't end up immediately. It
you don't have to, you get to. You love it.
I won't work that day.
You ain't taking my piece.
I get to do this. Yeah, I get to have this rest day. So.
The same thing with helping your brethren. That revelation doesn't come right away. Sometimes at first you just got to get saved. And some of you, the reason why you're not very generous and very kind and you don't know how to love and give is because you're just still getting saved. You haven't figured out how to be grateful yet. Oh, it'll hit you. Believe me, it's going to hit you. When it does, we're going to get some work done, which will be great. But it will hit you as you go, wow, I've been a selfish, self-centered, only caring about my own salvation. What am I doing?
I'll be right back.
Go right ahead. That's what's going to change the circumstances for each person. Just like the Sabbath day, when you said, man, I am done disobeying. I need to do this. What starts happening? You grow. And what we're seeing is everyone's growth level is slowly coming up. How come? Because you're no longer getting this artificial fake cover on top of you that is bringing lies down. Okay. And so you who are already got the breakthrough on these areas, because Elohim has blessed you so much that your gratitude is like through the roof, you get it. Other people are still figuring that out. So we got to walk, how did Jacob say, Jacob said to Esau, just this last week, we read it in the scripture reading, and he said to Esau, if the men overdrive, they'll kill the flock. So you go on ahead and we'll move along softly. I love that. What a beautiful picture. We're moving along softly because we don't want to overdrive people. But at the same time, we can't deviate. We can't go back. And so we'll move along softly with you so that you can learn and you can grow and have companions with you along the way. But make no mistake about it, we're not going back into captivity. We're not going back into Egypt. We need to come all the way into the law of liberty and be set free, because that's really where we're at. We're getting complete freedom from the world. It's getting easier and easier to disconnect. The further you walk, the next time they say some product is contaminated, you like walk over to your cupboard, grab it, throw it in the garbage, and go back and sit down. You don't even think about it. Right. Man, a couple of years ago, you might have had a hard time doing that. Mm-hmm. Now you're like, another thing, great, dump. You don't even think about it anymore. You've grown past that point. And this is the beautiful thing. This is why those of you that are just starting your journey, we want to encourage you. We don't want you to get discouraged, because it is easy to start thinking, man, I don't know who's right and who's wrong and what's the correct way and what have you. And they want to reopen the debate. One of the things I love about the Dead Sea Scrolls and about what the Zadok wrote down for us is you're about 2,000 years late for the debate. Mm-hmm. It's over. That debate is over. They already had the debate. This is what Elohim commended. If you want to go back there, you have to travel in time to go back and get back into the debate. We ain't having it again. And I love that, because it cuts us free, doesn't it, brother? Like, oh, well, this is what they said, so we're just going to do it. Why? Why is that wise? Because it allows us to be under the cover of the Zadok. Okay, we are now under the cover of the Zadok, whom he commends. Mm-hmm. Can you not see the wisdom in that? I think you all can start to see the wisdom of that and say, I think I'm going to stay right here where he's commending the people that he says, well done, well done, good job, you did good. Okay, right. I'm with them. Them's my people. Them's my people. Yeah. So that's the correct path around the year. So what do they got to do now, Alan? What's the task now for them?
As far as what, setting calendar or
calendar for a brand new person?
A brand new person?
They're not going to put calendars together. They need to get together with others.
Sure. No. Right, I understand. Looking at it from the simplest way possible, the way I think the Father always intended, walk in the light. Okay, your day begins with light. You've got a light side, you've got a dark side, of the day. Every Moedim, every feast, with the exception of Passover, which is a single evening event, the very next day is the high day of unleavened bread, which begins immediately at sunrise. And then there's the Day of Atonement, which is, you have your preparation for Day of Atonement beginning in the evening. Then you have Day of Atonement, which is the daytime. And then you have another leading away evening. That's actually the whole day. So those two, just because it has an evening involved with it, is in no way saying that, that's when all of the Moedim start. It's a long story.
That's the exception. That's the way the exception was made. But now that you are discovering this, so let's say you woke up today or you came on this broadcast and going, this is just confirmation. I've been praying for an answer. I've been asking Elohim to tell me the right way. Because I know a lot of people, this is why Elohim has us doing the broadcast tonight on this topic, because it's a topic that a lot of people are like, hey, I need to get this clear, right? Okay, so what happens is you get connected with other people on the same journey. Well, now you're not alone. And now what it does is it allows you to grow inside of a bit of a protected group, so that as you start to figure it out yourself, so you're not just doing what someone else said, but you're studying it, you're not alone. And this is very important, because what we have found is that even the hottest, brightest lights, they come flying out. I'm thinking of one particular brother who just 6 months ago, man, every half an hour he had some other amazing thing to share, and all of a sudden he's just gone, disappeared. How come? Because without fellowship, without unity, without your brethren, your light's not going to shine the same way. So this is why we encourage you to obey Hebrews 10 verse 25, not forsaking the assembling, not the churching. We don't want you to become a circus. Okay, that was a trick. And that's what you see a lot of times. Just saying. So he didn't want you to be a circus. He wanted you to be an assembly so that you have an understanding of where you are. And again, it doesn't mean that you are staying permanently. Like somebody might come into Remnant House and say, I just need a place to get my head straight. And then a year later, Elohim may say, okay, I want you to go over there. We'll stay connected. We're still part of the same family, but now maybe you're given a different mission. Just be found faithful. Whatever it is he's putting you in, be found faithful. Let me get a phone call from the overseer of that other ministry saying, man, this person that used to be with you guys is now over here. He's amazing. She's amazing. That's what we should all hear. You get what I'm trying to say? Just like a job, like when you move from one job to the other, don't they call your previous employer? Yeah, they do. On something as trivial as working for Mammon. You think we aren't going to communicate if we're talking about spiritual things? This is why you need your fellowships and you need connection with people that are doing it right and are committed to it so that they will help you stay focused. Because I don't know about you, Alan, I'm pretty sure I can speak for you. We wouldn't have stayed on the path as well had it not been for our fellowship, for each other. Okay, you strengthened me many times. And I pray I've done the same for you. So this is how it's like a multi-cycle engine. When one cylinder goes down, the other one goes up, and this is how this thing works.
Well,
you start trying to pull this off by yourself, you're in trouble. Go ahead.
Well, it's like when we come out for Sukkot, it's not just like taking a vacation. It's like turning all the chaos off and finally being with brothers and sisters that all have the same like mind. You don't feel like you're looking over your shoulder. You don't feel like you're under attack. It's like, finally, everybody here gets the same thing. They're all on the same page, That's always nice. And like I say, that in addition with the keeping the feast, learning what they mean, educating yourself as you go along doing it.
And killing witchcraft. You're killing the witchcraft. They'll be mad at you. They'll be mad they can no longer get to you. But the witchcraft doesn't work anymore, folks. The Jedi mind tricks. Haven't you figured out? You're like, why am I able to see through this? Y'all are all falling for this. How come they're all falling for this? And right then you can see the people that are under the spell still and the people that are awake. And it's proportional. It's very small number awake, large people bowing down in front of the giant statue. The golden Nebuchadnezzar, man. They're bowing down, and you're standing there, aren't you? Come on, guys. I know you're out here. Some of you are sneaking in. You're not saying anything on the chat, but you're out there, and you're one of those Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego people, and you're wondering, how come I'm the only one seeing this? How come nobody in my family is seeing this?
Oh, sure.
How come they're all bowing down to this idol? And I refuse to bow down because you are a memorial, my friend. You are a burnt offering. You're a living sacrifice. And Elohim's going to use you to set a flame right there in that family, right there in that community, in that building. Maybe you're in an ecclesia. Maybe you woke up and you're standing there clapping. And as you're clapping, you're going, this is not the Sabbath day. What are we doing? And right then, it hits you. And you're looking around and you're wondering if anybody else is catching it. And there's that one guy in the corner down there that you're going, I think he's awake. Everyone else is asleep. Come on, somebody. I know you know what I'm talking about. Okay? This is why it is so important that you, the remnant, be lit on fire, because sometimes you're the only one for 100 miles. Okay, you're by yourselves. You're the vessel Elohim is going to use. Amen. Any last parting words before we let them go, brother?
No, I'll tell you, I'm the guy that can really make the interval math stuff look really complicated, but the truth is that it's very, very, very simple. I think I just like to hear myself talk, or type or whatever.
I think what you try to do is come at 5 different ways to like you're trying to debunk your own work all the time.
Right. And it keeps
you
proving
keep trying to
itself.
find a hole, and it keeps proving that it's correct. But you
Yep.
keep coming at it like, no, well, let me try one more thing just to make sure that this can't be broken.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful way to do it.
I'm well past any kind of doubting that this isn't the correct method. Well past that.
Somebody said, I love Alan's hat. Yeah, that's what's up.
I had to rock the new Kingdom
well,
hat.
listen, that's right. You got to rock that. Well, listen, brother, I think we've kept them long enough here. I'm just realizing how much time we've taken up. So we're gonna say goodnight. Alan, thank you so much for taking time with us tonight.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to hang out with you and spend time with you. So I hope you come down and visit me soon. That would be neat. And please give a big hug and warm hug from Mama and I to Sharon. I know she must be back there hiding somewhere. So just tell her we love her and can't wait to see her again.
Will do. Thank you, brother.
All right, brother.
Appreciate it.
Shalom.
Shalom.
And brethren, I just want to encourage all of you who are awakening in this hour to this topic. And, you get good friends, people like my sister, Katrina Tehar, and Rod Rains, and of course, Yashar'el will help you a lot. I mean, a ton. You get good friends that are going deep in these areas, right? So they go deep for you, and they're beautiful, and they're wonderful, and they're amazing. And then they come and they share things that you go, wow, thank you. You're just confirming more and more we're going the right way. Thank you. Thank you. Well, this is really important that we do that for each other. And that's the value of a house, the value of connected people. Some more intimately connected, some more loosely, but that's okay. That works. And I believe Elohim is using all of these things to work together for good. We pray that each of you finds your place in the body wherever he sets you, because it says in the scripture, he sets the members in the body as it pleases him. And so our prayer for all of you is that you would find that place where he has carved out a spot for your gift, where when you connect in, boom, you start moving in supernatural power. That is how we know that you were in the right place. The signs and the wonders begin to manifest. You are made for miracles. Made for it. Stop compromising. Stop acting like it's once in a while. No, we serve the Elohim of signs and wonders. Let him confirm his word with signs and wonders. Don't get into debates. 2 altars. Let's see where the fire falls. Amen and amen. Let Elohim confirm his own word. If you're not sure, don't get into debates with people. Don't go start arguing on Facebook over it. Just get on your face, maybe fast and pray. Put it before him. Maybe you're one of those people that were on a different method and you're now going, well, I'm not sure which one's right. Take them both before him and let him decide. Let him make clear to you his will for you. Amen. That way, your faith does not rest in the wisdom of men, but in the power of my Elohim. Amen. And those of you who have not been water baptized, thank you, my brother, for bringing that up. We strongly encourage you to run. If you have not been water baptized in the name of Yahusha, you need to run. And if you have been water baptized in the name of Yahusha, I need to recruit you in to special forces. We need you. So if you have been water baptized, we need to hear from you, as you may need to baptize other people, depending upon where you are. We have a couple in Idaho, for example, that need to be water baptized. We have other people around the earth that are asking. So if you've been water baptized, that means you can baptize other people. You need to have been baptized in the name of Yahusha. No compromise, no corner cuts. But if you have, then now you can do water baptism. So we want to encourage you to step in, volunteer yourself, step up, because your brothers and sisters need you. And they're now looking around, who's near me. Okay. So if you have, and you're in wherever you are, thank you, Octavia and Tony, for your volunteering for that. I know a few other people that have been water baptized. We need to do this. So it's very, very important. If you're not sure about it, go on over to the Truther's Journal, and my brother will give you lots of information on the importance of water baptism, immersion, and even re-immersion, okay? Because you need to divorce these wicked things. You need to divorce the devil. You need to divorce his systems, okay? And so that you can come fully all the way in and leave behind every curse and every evil, wicked thing that has been trying to keep you from Elohim's perfect will in your life. That is our cry. That is why we're doing this. And that's why we continue to encourage. So if you, again, thank you, my brethren. I knew there were a few of you out there who have gotten water baptized in the name of Yahusha. And so if that has been the case, we have it. Look, Katrina, she's in Pennsylvania. See, we have friends all over. We just had to kind of pull them out a little. Come on out. Okay. And if you've been baptized in his name, no exceptions. Don't say, well, it was in this, but it's okay. No. No, it's not okay. So again, let me be clear. If you were baptized in the name of Yahusha, then you are authorized now to baptize others. I want to encourage you to do that. Encourage you to be a vessel that will bless. Okay. And on that note, we're going to let you go. This has been a great conversation. I've enjoyed just spending time just with you guys. And thank you for doing that. We've had quite a few joining us for the evening. So, wow, we're really blessed and so thankful. And I pray that no matter where you are continuing steadfast. We do need your help. So thank you for those of you that are part of our house and are contributing to this work. We couldn't do this without you. But we also know that, Elohim has to move upon you. So you just pray and ask him and see as he would have you come and help in this work. But we are so thankful for every one of you who share, who encourage others, who are lighting fires wherever you go. Have you noticed lighting another person's light doesn't diminish yours, not one bit. Go out there and shine. Go out there and bless. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Each and every one of you are a blessing. May Elohim bless each and every one of your homes. We pray that he will continue to keep you from every one of these lies and all of this deceit. In the name of Yahusha, good night.